Imagine a player so tough, a 1,000-pound steel tower fell on him during practice, and his coach Vince Lombardi simply said, "Oh, it's Ray. He'll be fine. Get back to work." That was Ray Nitschke, the beating heart of the Green Bay Packers defense. The kind of man who didn't flinch, didn't complain, and didn't stop until the whistle blew, and sometimes even then, he didn't. And trust me, this is not just a story. That actually happened. And the helmet, the one with a hole in it, still sits today inside the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame. It's more than a piece of equipment. It's a symbol of a time when toughness wasn't a mindset, it was a requirement. And nobody embodied that more than Ray Nitschke. Decades later, that same unshakable toughness earned him a place among the legends. And he ranked number 47 on the NFL's top 100 greatest players of all time. He played angry and wild, like a man trying to prove something the world couldn't understand. The thing gave him the title of the most ferocious linebacker of all time. Because behind all, Ray Nitschke was just a kid from Illinois who'd lost too much, too early, a kid who'd learned the pain doesn't stop you, it shapes you. By the time he puts on the Packers uniform, he wasn't just playing football anymore. He was releasing everything he'd carried since childhood, the grief, the rage, the need to matter. And under Vince Lombardi's rule, that fire finally had direction.
Naturally, we're going to miss Lombardi a lot. He's a great coach, great man.
Nitschke became more than a linebacker. He became the enforcer of the greatest dynasty the NFL had ever seen. They called him the soul of Green Bay's defense, the voice in the huddle that made even the toughest men straighten up. Some players defined toughness. Ray Nitschke was the toughness. Before Ray Nitschke became the heart of Vince Lombardi's defense, before the championships, and before the fear, Ray was just a kid from Elmwood Park, angry, broken, and alone. He was the youngest of 3 brothers. His father Robert died in a car crash when Ray was only 3. Then when Ray was 11, tragedy struck again. His mother Anna died from a blood clot.
If you looked at my background, my parents died when I was a young guy. My mother died when I was 13, just entering high school. My father had been killed in an automobile accident when I was 3 years old.
No parents means no guidance. Just 2 older brothers, Robert Jr. and Richard, trying to raise a boy who was already boiling on the inside. That anger never really left him. It just found new ways to come out. Fistfights in the streets, arguments with teachers, all of these were pretty regular for him. He was a kid desperate for control in a life that kept taking it away. With all his temper, he entered Proviso Township High School in Maywood, Illinois, a big campus, crowded halls, and no one telling him what to do. He joined the football team as a fullback his freshman year, but his temper and bad grades caught up fast. By sophomore year, he was kicked off the team because he was academically ineligible. He later admitted that was one of the lowest points of his life. The kid who loved to hit couldn't even play, but this refusal changed him. Maybe it was pride, maybe it was shame. He started to put it together slowly. By junior year, Nitschke was on the right track, and now he wasn't just bigger, he was different. 6 feet tall and tougher than ever. And suddenly, he was leading on both sides of the ball, quarterback on offense, safety on defense. A rare mix of intelligence and violence. He was raw, but you could see it, a natural feel for chaos. He didn't just tackle guys, he erased them. It wasn't limited to just football. He played basketball. He pitched and played left field for the baseball team. He could have gone pro in baseball too, and the St. Louis Browns offered him a $3,000 signing bonus. But his coach, Andy Puplis, saw something deeper. He told Ray, "Take the football scholarship. That's where your heart is." Ray listened. He dreamed of playing in the Rose Bowl, so he picked the University of Illinois in 1954. From a kid with no direction, he became a young man standing on the edge of a new life.
But when I got to be a pretty good athlete in high school, finally got some college offers in University of Illinois.
But no one, not even Ray, knew how dark that fire inside him would burn once he put on a helmet. So, when Ray Nitschke got to the University of Illinois, he wasn't some polished recruit with clean habits and big dreams. He was still that same angry kid from Elmwood Park, just bigger, stronger, and now unsupervised. He fought over almost anything, a look, a word, a shove. College didn't tame him. It just gave his battles a new playground. And academically, he was barely hanging on. He'd never been a great student. Illinois didn't make it any easier. Football was the only thing keeping him there. At first, he was a quarterback. That was his dream, to lead a team to the Rose Bowl. But in 1955, his football career took a new turn. The Illini's backfield got hit with injuries. Head coach Ray Elliott needed help. So he looked at Nitschke and said, "You're moving to fullback." Just like that, Ray's dream was gone. The quarterback who wanted to throw touchdowns was now expected to deliver hits. Most players would have sulked, but Ray, he turned that disappointment into destruction. It was the era of single platoon football. Players had to go both ways. But when the Illini defense took the field, Nitschke lined up at linebacker. That's where everything clicked right. Because he wasn't meant to read defenses, he was meant to destroy them. Linebacker gave his rage a purpose, and he turned it into a violent art, a bone-shaking art. By his senior year, even legends were taking notice. Paul Brown, head coach of the Cleveland Browns, called him the best linebacker in college football. And it wasn't just talk. In 1956, during a brutal game against Ohio State, Nitschke took a helmet straight to the face on the opening kickoff. The hit knocked out all 4 of his front teeth, 2 instantly and 2 were barely hanging by the roots. He spat out the blood, pushed the teeth back in, and kept playing like nothing happened. That day, teammates said he played like a possessed man. Every tackle hit harder, every collision echoed louder. Like something inside him snapped, Beast finally broke loose. By the time he left Illinois, everyone knew this wasn't just another college linebacker. This was a man who played football like it was personal. Because for Ray Nitschke, it always was. Growing up on the outskirts of Chicago, Ray Nitschke idolized the Bears. That was his team, his dream. He wanted to wear that navy blue and orange, to be part of the monsters of the Midway. But football doesn't care about dreams, it cares about destiny. In the 1958 NFL Draft, held on December 2, 1957, Nitschke hoped to hear the Bears call his name. Instead, it was the Green Bay Packers who picked him late in the 3rd round, 36th overall. Wasn't thrilled at first, because Green Bay was cold, small, and struggling. Still, in 1958, no one saw greatness coming. Under first-year coach Ray Scooter McLean, the Packers won just 1 game. 1 win, 10 losses, and 1 tie. It was the worst record in the league. Nitschke wore number 33 that year. He was young, angry, and undisciplined. He was raw power with no direction. The team was going nowhere, and Ray, he was wasting away. Then came Vince Lombardi. He was a man of rules and discipline. When Lombardi arrived in 1959, everything started to fit in the right place. Lombardi looked at Nitschke and saw something dangerous, but promising. He didn't try to tame him. He just gave his fury a purpose. He told Ray, play with emotion, but never out of control. That line became gospel. Nitschke started to channel his fire into leadership. He started studying films. He learned offenses and began turning instinct into intelligence. You remember that Steel Tower incident? Yeah, the 1,000-pound one that crashed right onto Nitschke before the 1960 season? Lombardi didn't even flinch, just said, he'll be fine, get back to work. And he was. A steel spike tore through his helmet, but not through him. He didn't break, he bent the world around him. By the early 1960s, the Green Bay Packers weren't just a football team anymore.
In the 1960s, the Green Bay Packers,
they were a machine. And at its core stood Ray Nitschke, number 66 now, the face of Lombardi's toughness. He wasn't just the linebacker in the middle, he was the soul of the defense. The voice that barked orders, the hammer that punished hesitation. 1961 was the beginning of something special. The Packers faced the New York Giants for the NFL championship, cold weather and frozen field. But Ray Nitschke turned that day into a personal masterpiece. 11 tackles, a fumble recovery, and a pass deflection. He was named MVP of the game. And the prize? A brand new 1963 Chevrolet Corvette. That game wasn't just a win, it was a declaration. Green Bay was here. Ray Nitschke was its heartbeat. After the game, a reporter asked what it felt like to dominate like that. Nitschke just grinned, mud dried on his face, and said, "That's what I'm paid for." Every big game, every defining moment, number 66 was there, covered in dirt, blood, and pride. Through the decade, he anchored a defense that helped him win 5 NFL titles and the first 2 Super Bowls. In Super Bowl I, he recorded 6 tackles and a sack. In Super Bowl II, he led the defense with 9 tackles. And in 1964, he earned his lone Pro Bowl selection, not because he wasn't great enough for more, but because the lead had no stat that measured fear. You couldn't measure what Nitschke did to an offense. You could only feel it. Teammates feared him. Opponents dreaded him. Even Lombardi had to pull him back sometimes. In one infamous scrimmage, Nitschke hit running back Jim Taylor so hard that Lombardi stopped practice. He stormed over furious, yelling, "Ray, save it for Sunday." Nitschke, barely breathing hard, just nodded and said, "Coach, that is Sunday." He wasn't exaggerating. Every day was game day for him. What made him truly special, though, wasn't just the violence. It was the control. He read plays before they unfolded. He intercepted 25 passes in his career, proof that behind the fury was football IQ that rivaled quarterbacks. He was the rare mix of savage and scholar, the mind of a general trapped in the body of a battering ram. By 1970, Nitschke was still a starter, still a leader, still the soul of the defense. But in 1971, a new coach, Dan Devine, benched him for younger linebacker Jim Carter. Ray didn't complain. He just kept showing up, kept working, kept mentoring. And in 1972, something happened. In his final regular season game, the Packers went up against the Saints. Ray, at 36 years old, made the only pass reception of his entire career, a 34-yard gain after a blocked field goal. The Packers won 30-20, clinching a 10-4 record in their first playoff berth in 5 years. It was his last stand. He returned for a 16th training camp in 1973, but deep down, he knew the game was changing. By the summer of 1973, his body had taken enough. 16 training camps, countless collisions, and decades of punishment. He knew the fire was still there, but the speed of the game wasn't the same. So, just before the season began, Ray Nitschke retired from football. No press conference, no drama, just quiet respect. The kind of exit you'd expect from a man who let his play do the talking. After 15 brutal and glorious seasons in Green Bay, the number 66 hung up his cleats for good. But his presence never left that locker room, because for the Packers and for the league, Ray wasn't just a player, he was a standard. When Ray Nitschke finally walked away from the game, he didn't fade into the background. He became a legend you couldn't erase. Even time couldn't tackle him. In 1969, the NFL named him the greatest linebacker of all time for its 50th anniversary. He's still the only linebacker ever selected to both the NFL's 50th and 75th anniversary teams. That's respect carved in stone. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1978, the Packers Hall of Fame the same year, and the Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame in 1981. In his Hall of Fame speech, he didn't talk about himself. He talked about Lombardi. "I'm just proud to have played for him," he said. That was Ray, humble to the end. Every year after, at the Hall of Fame luncheon, Nitschke was the one who spoke, the man welcoming new legends to the greatest team of them all. After he passed, the Hall named that very luncheon after him. That's how much he meant. His number 66 was officially retired in 1983, only the fourth number the Packers ever took out of circulation. The same honor Bart Starr got a decade earlier. Today, one of Green Bay's outdoor practice fields carries his name, Ray Nitschke Field. A reminder to every new Packer what toughness really looks like. Before that retirement, the number 66 had one last run. It was worn by a young offensive lineman named Lawrence Pohl, who later became famous as wrestler Lex Luger. Even that feels poetic, the number meant for warriors finding its way to another ring. In 1999, the Sporting News ranked Nitschke number 18 on its list of the 100 greatest football players, the highest-ranked man ever coached by Vince Lombardi, second among Packers only to Don Hutson, and third among linebackers right behind Dick Butkus and Lawrence Taylor. Off the field, Ray stayed close to the game. He worked with young players, spoke at events, and kept showing up at Lambeau like he never left. On March 8, 1998, Ray Nitschke passed away from a heart attack while vacationing in Florida. He was 61. When the news broke, Green Bay fell silent. The city that worshipped his toughness now mourned his heart. They flew the flags at half-staff, and fans filled Lambeau with number 66 jerseys, because even after death, Ray still led the huddle. When you think of toughness, you think of broken bones, scars, and grit. But for Nitschke, toughness was something deeper. It was heart. It was pain turned into power. It was the fire that built a dynasty. Ray Nitschke didn't just play the game. He became part of its mythology. A man who stood in the storm and made it his home.